It's been just over a day since I posted the video, The Lies of Forest Nova Scotia, and I was not expecting the video to hit the rails of sleepy Nova Scotia news like a freight train. But the last time I checked the video, it had received some 1,500 hits since I released it yesterday morning, and the momentum seems to keep right on going. I'm glad to see that people in Nova Scotia are paying attention to the news and that they are concerned about biodiversity and what Forest Nova Scotia has been doing to act in the shadows against it. If you have not already seen The Lies of Forest Nova Scotia, here is the background in brief. On Saturday, March 13th, they ran this ad in the Chronicle Herald, Halifax and Nova Scotia's largest newspaper. The ad purported to represent a group called the Concerned Private Landowner Coalition. Using alarmist language right from the outset, it stated, calling all private landowners, new legislation will give the government of Nova Scotia broad and unprecedented authority over your private land. If passed, the new act will restrict what you can and can't do with fines up to $1 million. If you'd like more details, the link to the Lies of Nova Scotia video is noted below. Approximately 3 days later, Information Morning, a CBC radio program, invited Jeff Bishop, the executive director of Forest Nova Scotia, to comment on their concerns regarding the Biodiversity Act. The interviewer at that time, Preston, had known somehow that Forest Nova Scotia was behind the Concerned Private Landowner Coalition and questioned Jeff Bishop about its existence. I'll just play the relevant clip. It's only a few seconds long.
Okay, but does this group even exist, the Concerned Private Landowner Coalition?
It's not a formal organization. No, you're right, Preston. We didn't feel that we had to go that far, if you will.
So, out of the horse's own mouth, so to speak, Jeff Bishop, the executive director of Forest Nova Scotia, we learned that the Concerned Private Landowner Coalition does not actually exist. It was created by Forest Nova Scotia as a front to run their ad. When the jig was up, Forest Nova Scotia began to scramble. Damage control had to be done. They created a website for the so-called Concerned Private Landowner Coalition, and on Monday, March 15th, I guess the first day back after work, they created a group dubbed a community organization on Facebook. Happily, Facebook pages now require transparency, so it's easy to see when they actually created this group. Here is Facebook's page transparency declaration. And if you look at the bottom of the image, you'll see it says page created March 15th, 2021. This is the first image that appeared on their page. A logo that appears to be an abstraction of fields, forest, and sky, superimposed over the various warm and fuzzy images in the header. The thing is, we find ourselves right back to the same dilemma. No matter what damage control Forest Nova Scotia attempts to do, the simple fact is, they ran a huge full-page ad in the Chronicle Herald, but tried to make the ad look like it was being fronted by a local grassroots organization who opposed the Biodiversity Act. But when they actually ran this ad, this group did not exist, and it was Forest Nova Scotia who paid for the ad. The simple reality is, Forest Nova Scotia does not have the public's trust. Forest Nova Scotia is not recognized as being in defense of biodiversity, and with thousands of Nova Scotians expressing grave concern over the state of forests and endangered species throughout Nova Scotia, along with our nearly wiped out Acadian forest ecosystem, Forest Nova Scotia is not in good repute. And I am absolutely convinced they did not want to run this ad under their own name for the simple purpose of trying to make it look as if it was actually the general public that was concerned, which is nothing less than underhanded. But no matter what damage control they try to do, the simple fact is they ran this ad, they financed this ad, all the while pretending the ad was being run and financed by a group which at the time didn't exist. And I'm not sure what playbook they're using, but I'm pretty sure that I can say that according to the playbooks of most people, pretending to be someone they aren't is unethical. Indeed, I question whether their actions are criminal, and while they're trying to form a group now, it's only after the fact of an attempted deception of the general public. So here's their brand new website, which they're trying to legitimize by showing a list of supporters at the bottom, where people can log in and show their support and have their names publicly noted. Out of courtesy to the persons who did log in, I'm going to blur out their names, as well as what they wrote. But I will note now that the first person to have logged in and registered on this site did so, as you can see in the screenshot, on March 19th, a Friday, 6 days after Forest Nova Scotia ran their ad purporting to be from the Concerned Private Landowner Coalition, a fictitious group not even in existence yet. So here's the brand new Facebook group, And I'm not going to go deeply into it. It's extraordinarily shallow, a simple smear campaign. And as you can see, illustrated by these screenshots, mostly all they have to offer is a bunch of vague, blurry fear-mongering. I guess the kind of thing that's going to appeal to the conspiracy theorist crowd. And that's really pretty much it. There isn't any meaningful science there. There isn't any meaningful interpretation of the law. It's mostly just, gee, we have to stop this or you're all screwed, kind of rhetoric. In point of fact, it's very simple. It's simply designed from the ground up to create fear. The truth is, the Biodiversity Act isn't going to impact the average citizen all that much. Its primary focus is preventing the massive, virtually unchecked and unpoliced clear-cutting that's presently going on around the province, and setting the groundwork to conserve threatened ecosystems and protect endangered species. And honestly, the only ones who really have much to worry about when it comes to that is the forestry cartel, the big industrial forestry operations, not John and Jane Doe who run a little woodlot where they harvest and sell firewood, or Mark Doe who wants to gather some logs for his cabin, or Jack Doe who just wants to make a living from his woodlot. Who this is really going to impact are the big companies like West4 that presently feel at liberty to come into Nova Scotia, mow down the forests of Crown land and any private individual who will give them their private land by many square miles each year, all the while having forestry access roads carved into the woodlands everywhere, while having the right to treat forests with glyphosate, which kills any herbaceous and deciduous plants and trees in the area at the wrong time of the year. Essentially, the Biodiversity Act stands to threaten industrial-scale forestry, and they're the ones behind this poorly conceived attempt to stop the Biodiversity Act. When you think about it, in concerning us and future generations, the Biodiversity Act offers many positives. As Nova Scotia's ecological integrity and environmental beauty are restored, the quality of our air and water will be assured, and some invaluable long-term industries, such as the tourist industry, will also be protected. People aren't going to come here to see the autumn colors of an evergreen conifer plantation. They aren't going to come to see the rolling clear cuts to the horizon. They're not going to come to see the places where wildlife once lived. But if our natural environment is conserved, if our forests are saved, and the Acadian forests restored, we stand to benefit not only as a tourist destination, but we can become a leader in many forest products which are in fact sustainable, such as high-value wild mushrooms, furniture and instrument-grade hardwoods, mapling operations, and landowners who merely prefer to let their forests sit and grow beautiful can even earn income from their land through carbon credits. But none of those things work for the forestry cartel. Tree plantations, pulp, and biomass are their concerns. The last and unsurprising but truly disappointing aspect of this is I'm seeing an attempt to draw battle lines in the sand to divide Nova Scotians, a kind of urban versus rural Nova Scotian thing being cultivated. Thing is, the issue of biodiversity and its protection is not a rural versus urban issue. I have a lot of friends who are biologists, ecologists, environmentalists, conservationists. Nearly all of them are rural. Myself, a woodlot owner included. And it's not just an effort to divide rural versus urban Nova Scotians. Forest Nova Scotia, through its fake, proxy or pet group, whatever you want to call it, the Concerned Private Landowner Coalition, is clearly anti-science and clearly unconcerned about biodiversity, which you can see in this post that appeared on their Facebook community group today, March 21st, at about 3:30 p.m. I don't know if it's Jeff Bishop posting directly to his website or some lackey, but the post reads, "Do you want these activists using Bill 4 to tell you what you can and cannot do on your private land? Take action to stop Bill 4 today. Go to www.stopbill4.ca." And below it there is a screen capture from saltwire.pressreader.com that they have put in their post, noting just about every conservation organization I can think of that may have a presence in Nova Scotia, such as the Ecology Action Centre, Nature Nova Scotia, the Nova Scotia Bird Society, the Twin Bays Coalition, the Sierra Club, the Council of Canadians, Friends of Nature, and many other reputable groups doing some kind of work or other in conservation. And even strangely, this organization called A for Adventure. Now, I was surprised to see that one there, and I'd never heard of them before, so I went on the internet to take a look at them, and it turns out that this is a local grassroots business that makes things like children's books to teach children to run and play outdoors, and they make a small cable or YouTube program about the joys of life in Nova Scotia. these seem like great people, and this is a great business idea, and the program looks really cool. You guys should check it out. They also seem to fall among that bunch that Forest Nova Scotia, through its proxy concerned Private Landowner Coalition fake group, is trying to frame as one of that, quote, evil, unquote, bunch that are concerned and active about biodiversity. So the bottom line is that, honestly, Forest Nova Scotia is going to set up anybody that would like to see the Biodiversity Act come to pass as part of the evil bunch. And given that they were caught in the act of setting up this fake group less than a week ago, and that they're clearly willing to descend to any level of lies and creating dissent and division, I think we can anticipate that between now and the time the Biodiversity Act is voted on, their attempts at damage control are going to become stranger and more desperate. And I've seen some terrible organizations in my life that were pretty good at being terrible, but Forestry Nova Scotia isn't even really good at it, which is more to worry about in its own way because who knows what they're going to do next. Well, that's my 2 cents. I hope in the end that Nova Scotians care enough to vote to preserve the natural beauty, the environment, and the ecology of this gorgeous province, given the many thousands that have voiced their support for the Biodiversity Act, and the many persons that have taken the time to view the lies of Forest Nova Scotia, and who have taken the time to call out Forest Nova Scotia for this stunt. I believe the right side is going to win this battle. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. The Naturalist program is committed to the reliable coverage of natural science and environmental issues. If you like our program, please take a moment to subscribe and like.